I'm Roger Baines, Senior Lecturer in Applied Translation, and I'm going to talk about translation. Translation is a political act. Just think about who decides what gets translated, who decides how it's translated, what gets included, what gets taken out, what gets added in what context, and why. It's interesting to think about these complexities during a global pandemic. Translation is everywhere. Yet a bit like key workers, it's long been underappreciated and undervalued. Translation is everywhere, I hear you think? That's because most people are oblivious to it, to what it involves and to its impact on most spheres of society. Politics, economy, culture, the dissemination of news, science and technology, the application of law, keeping terrorism at bay, and nations in good health. Not all the communication relating to COVID-19 takes place in English. Far from it, because 75% of the world's population do not speak any English at all, and most of the 1 in 4 who do speak it as a second language. There's translation and interpreting taking place all the time, between as many languages as you can think of. There are anxious, frightened people in countries where they do not speak the dominant language, for whom translation, interpreting and intercultural communication are vital at the moment. For governments, getting clear, unambiguous messages out about hand washing, social distancing is hugely important to protect public health and alleviate pressure on health services. Multilingual official information is standard in countries like Canada, Belgium, Switzerland, for example. But in most places, additional translation and interpreting is needed to bridge the gap for communities who do not speak the official language. International collaboration in the trade and transport of medical equipment, of PPE, of ventilators, needs the oil of translation and interpreting to smooth the wheels of negotiation and organisation. There are vaccines being developed right across the world right now, and translation helps that global effort. Most of us are living in bubbles at the moment for our own safety. But this is a moment in history where insularity and lack of communication across linguistic and cultural barriers would be hugely damaging to society. So, if you speak another language, use your communication skills to help people in your community deal with the pandemic. And if you can translate, seek out organisations like Translators Without Borders or charity translators or other charitable organisations to help bridge the language gap for people who need it in the current crisis.